Hello folks, welcome to another video. And yeah, it's been probably about a week or 2 weeks since I done a video. Let me get my tablet going. Going bug. Alright, so yeah, so I'm gonna get water out of the way. And yes, it is hot, humid. It rained all day yesterday. And hopefully the camera holds out. Got coffee. So yes, I will be smoking the Drew Estate Java Maduro. Again, it is one of those cigars I normally smoke on special occasion. And of course, this is being since Father's Day and first day of summer celebration. So yeah, of course I V-cut it. Yeah, this is a Maduro, so it is a strong cigar, but it's a yes, a lot of this very bitter tasting, but overall it's a good flavor, good aroma. As I say, if you can get your hand on these, they do show up on sale every now and then. So you know, and of course having coffee with some Java cigar. So yeah, so I guess I'll speak on a few subjects. You know, the what's happening in Minneapolis. I said I have relatives up there. I got cousins up there, and they're saying, you know, things have pretty much gone to shit up there. And of course, what's happening over in Seattle and Atlanta. So let's start with Minneapolis. So basically, they decided to defund the police. And I guess over the span of 1 year, they're going to transition from their current police style that everybody uses to basically a neighborhood watch. And from what I read and from what other people have said, is that they're going to do a neighborhood watch. And if something happens, they're going to send social workers. So you're going to send a social worker, let's say, to a domestic disturbance call, which according to I guess ex-police or people who are policemen, that's one of the worst calls that they want to get, especially if it's towards the end of your shift. When you first come onto your shift, you know, the first call you get is a domestic. Now, police officers hate doing domestic, so now you got social workers, you know, showing up to a volatile situation to where they can get killed. Now, I don't know if they're going to arm these social workers. If they are, then they need to be trained, you know, as police officers. Then, you know, they got to go, they got to go to, you know, police academy, get some firearms training, maybe some, you know, some police departments do give their officers some, it's called psychological and social and so let's call it social training. Kind of like what a sociologist would come in, you know. We'll see how that goes. Of course, police officers in blue states. Now I back the blue. You know, I live in a red state, in a red city. You know, I happen to like the police officers in my city. They pretty much leave you alone. You know, because someone's mentioning, you know, someone mentions, every time someone mentions, you know, more, you know, how more blacks are on welfare, and then they'll mention, oh, well, more white people are on welfare, and you have to tell them, hey, percentage wise, you know, percentage to population, more blacks are on welfare. then you'll bring up the crime statistic where they'll say, well, more black men are shot by police officers, more blacks are arrested, more blacks are pulled over, and then of course the counter to that is the same as the welfare. Well, per numbers, more white people are shot by police officers, pulled over, harassed by police officers. But if you look at the percentage to population, it is more blacks being pulled over. As for shot by police officers, it's percentage-wise, it's still more white. It's still more white men or white people that are being shot by police officers. But things like being pulled over, in jail, it is more blacks per percentage of the population. It is more blacks. So for that part, I would agree that yes, percentage-wise, more blacks are being pulled over, but also percentage-wise, more blacks are committing crimes, and that all has to do with their upbringing, with the F the police culture. So, and of course, people are saying, well, then why don't blacks police their own community? Well, there was an experiment that was tried in Baltimore. It's either Baltimore or New York, but I think it's Baltimore, probably Baltimore and New York, where the city council, the mayor decided to have only black officers go into black neighborhoods and police the black neighborhoods. And as it turns out, police corruption was rampant. Not just police corruption, but the police brutality was rampant, and they had to shut it down. They're like, okay, this isn't working. We gotta shut this down. Blacks policing black neighborhoods. Black police officers policing black neighborhoods is not going to work. So yeah, and it was like, I think a 6-month or 1-year experiment that they were going to try. Yeah, kind of like Minneapolis. Of course, Minneapolis is majority white, so the majority police officer is no surprise going to be white. But the thing is that the black population in Minneapolis is about 17.8. The percentage in police is somewhere around 7.7 or 7.8. It should be up there around 15 or 16%. So I guess we'll move on to Seattle. So first they called it the Chaz zone. Now they're referring it to the Chop zone. Chop zone. And in my opinion, these people are not ready for a revolution, man. They're not ready to shed blood. We got one of their I guess organizers, some 18-year-old girl. Yeah, I'm calling her a girl. So of course you guys probably already heard about this. So they let homeless into the Chaz zone. Damn bug, already getting bug in my coffee. There we go. And of course the homeless took all of their food. So she jumps on Twitter. She's begging for food, and she's begging for crap like vegan meat, which is of course made from soy. She's begging for nuts, begging for soy products. Just from reading that tweet, I'm like, okay, these people are not ready to shed blood. Right now they're just playing house in this Chop zone / Chaz zone. These people haven't really met a real revolution. Where people are being beheaded in the streets. Kind of like China. Take China, yes, people were being beheaded in the streets. Take Vietnam. People were being slaughtered in the streets. When the communists, after they took over China, they moved straight down to Vietnam, or to that Indochina area, and the only country that's left untouched was pretty much Thailand, because the Thai people at the time still had a monarchy in place, And the monarch, I guess the monarch he was the one that held the Thai people together and pushed the communists out of Thailand. Now, of course, the monarch back then, he's dead. His son, or his grandson, is the current monarch, and that guy is just a leech. During the during the COVID-19 lockdown, of course Thailand was locked down, but of course he decided to travel to Germany on a 10,000 a day trip that was costing $10,000 a day on this trip. Took his 9 wives and his 20 concubines. And of course that's just like England, that's all on the taxpayer. So his grandfather, who was the king at the time that forced communists out of Thailand, the grandson hasn't had to. And of course, even if something that comes up, he's not going to be the one that's going to have to take care of that, because right now Thailand still has a military junta that's in control of their government. Yeah. So, anyways, yes. So kind of the people in China, the people who fled to like Hong Kong, fled to Taiwan, fled to Indonesia, fled to Singapore. All of those are ex Chinese nationals. That's why there's so many Chinese in Southeast Asia islands. It is because they fled the Chinese communists. Unfortunately for us, we have nowhere to flee to. This is the hill that you're going to die on. There's not a Taiwan equivalent. There's not an island that we can flee to. This is it, and there's no cavalry coming, and this is basically our Alamo. There's no cavalry coming, and believe me, the communists, they will kill every man, woman, and child, like they've done in China, Vietnam, go over to Laos, Cambodia, Burma. So yeah, as of Seattle, yes, and of course there was this group that they called the Patriot or whatever. They put out a message that, hey, on July 4th, we're gonna go in there and retake Chaz Zone, or the Chop Zone, back. And my thinking is, well, good luck, because one, not only are you going to have to fight the communists, but you're going to have to fight the police and the city. You're going to have to fight the police and the city government, who are on the side of Antifa. So so those guys better be ready to shed blood, because as soon as they show up, well, yeah, trust me, the Seattle police are going to show up, and if things go left, there's going to be bloodshed. So come July 4th, we'll see. Okay, so we'll go to Atlanta. And of course, the case in Atlanta was a guy named Raymond, whatever his name was. In my opinion, the police didn't do wrong. And of course, there's I guess the online community is posting that, police officers in Atlanta are quitting by the droves, which I don't blame them. Because let's not forget, Atlanta is 77% black, but it's 87% white police officer. So if you're a white police officer, if you pull somebody over, or you have to go on a 911 call, there's a 77% chance it's going to be a black person. And if I were a white police officer, I would either quit, or if a 911 call is over, you pull up, it's a black person, get back in your squad car, go back to the station. If you pull over a black person, or if you pull over a person that says a black person, go on ahead, man. You just go back to your squad car, get in, and leave. Because if anything happens and you end up having to kill that person, or having to, restrain the person, whether they break a bone or they get seriously hurt, not only are you going to lose your job, but you will lose your livelihood. This, those two police officers. I think they were both arrested. Which I don't agree with, and a lot of police officers across the country don't agree with, because what they did was within rights. Had the guy just took off and ran. So because I was watching, I was thinking, okay, dude, when the police officer goes to get his breathalyzer, he's left there standing. Of course, there's the second police officer that's standing next to him, but he's not physically touching him. So if he took off and ran then, because when the police officer has his hands on grabbed him to go and arrest him, that's when he decides to try to get away. Of course, not a police officer physically have you, so now they're struggling. He gets into a fist fight. At that point, you cross the line. You put your hands on a police officer. At that point, you pretty much become a felon. You waive your rights at that point. The Miranda rights, the Miranda rights and stuff is out the window. Then he goes and grabs the officer's taser, and you can tell when he's running away. The first officer that's chasing after him, he turns around, shoots, and it looks like the taser connects with that officer, because he doubles over, and the officer behind him, who's like the shot to me looks like a good 15-yard shot, which is of course it's about 30 feet. They're saying he's about 18 feet away, so that's about probably about a 10-yard. Now I think about it, it's probably about 10 to 12 yard was the shot, and he put two shots on the guy. Of course, one ricochet off the pavement and hit somebody's car, and of course that shouldn't happen, but you got a fleeing felon at this point, and of course people coming out, well, he's running away. Most police officers across the country, most police departments across the country have if the perp is fleeing, chase after them and or don't shoot them, unless the perp is deemed to be oh, here comes the wind. Yeah, that feels good. Yeah, it's like a hot, humid, no wind, and now we're getting wind all of a sudden. Yeah, so basically, don't chase the perp, but don't shoot him unless he's deemed to be a danger to the public, which this guy was. One, he's drunk. Two, he assaulted two officers, took one of the officers' taser, and he's running off with it. And so the officers deemed, hey, this guy's a danger to the public. I'm going to put him down. And the officer had every right to put him down. And of course people are still protesting. Those two police officers were arrested. They're, hopefully, of course, once they get through the criminal case, those officers will countersue, the city of Atlanta, and I have a feeling they're probably going to win a substantial amount from the city of Atlanta. Yeah, the officer is being charged. The officer that shot is being charged with like 11 charges, and of course the officer who got tased, of course he's I guess plea bargain. He's like, I'm going to testify against the officer that shot, which I think that's cowardly. He should have stood with his brother in blue and said, hey, look, man, this guy was running away. Of course, everyone's angry that when the police officer went up to his body, that they kicked him. And of course, people who are police officers are saying, well, they're not kicking him, they're kicking his hand away from his body. Just in case the guy isn't dead and he suddenly wakes up and starts struggling. So they're saying, if you look at the video, it does look like he's kicking the guy's arm or his hands out of the way. And then they're saying that I guess the officer stood on top of him. That you really can't tell in the video. And of course, one of the officers, that supposedly the officer that got tased, was the one that stood on top of him, and of course he confessed, which I think is probably a forced confession. Because in the video, because there's about 3 video sources. The first source is of course the body cam, police body cam, and of course during the struggle, the body cam that they released, that body cam fell off of the officer's body and is laying on the ground. The second you get is from Wendy's. The Wendy's is a security cam, and the third is from I guess eyewitnesses who took videos of the encounter. And yes, and of course Wendy's came out. Now for years, Wendy's remained silent on this Black Lives Matter stuff. They're like, look, man, we're gonna, we're just gonna remain silent. And then finally, they're like, they say, okay, we're gonna go woke. And of course, as soon as they go woke, 2 of their stores burned down. One in Minneapolis and one in Atlanta. And of course, the one in Atlanta was started by white people. And of course, they got videos. They caught one of the person, and the second was some white SJW lady, and you can tell she's SJW. By tattoos all over the body. And I don't know if they caught her yet, but they got video and they got pictures of her. So eventually, whichever police who are left on the Atlanta police force will be the one going after her. And I have a feeling that this case is probably, once it goes to the grand jury, it's going to be an acquittal. Because I guess per Georgia procedure, when it comes to a police shooting, is that the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is supposed to be notified, and then they come in and do their investigation. But in this case, they didn't even notify the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and went ahead and arrested the cops, and on top of that charged them. So they skipped that part. So I have a feeling it's probably going to be an acquittal once it goes to the grand jury. Yeah. So to the black folks, the white liberals are not your friend. Okay, they may smile at your face, but they're not your friend. They will backstab you. If shit goes left, they will flee, and you'll be left there, holding the holding the loot, to say, and all the blame's gonna go on black people. And again, if you are part of an online community, a lot of people are saying, hey man, right now, the only way to fix this is to give blacks their own territory. Rather it be an island or a couple of states. And they're saying right now, anyone who's, most white people will agree. Yes, if blacks want their own territory, want their own country, give them an island, give them a couple of states, and those who want to go can go stay there. Those who don't want to go, you lose your you lose your black card. And of course they're going after. Yeah, it fell off. No cherry at all, but it's burning. This cigar is actually pretty good. Nice smooth draw. Nice even burn. So this one was actually a really good cigar. And that's the thing with cigars too. Even if the humidor shows 65, 66, 67, 68 humidity. And of course it depends on, and of course some people do go through their cigar like once or twice a month and shuffle the cigars around, because of course the cigars that are that of course on top are going to get most of their I guess their humidity. So basically the cigar on top is going to get most of the humidity, and the one that's on the bottom are in the middle on the bottom are not going to get as much humidity, or are not going to have the moisture from the cigars evaporate. So yes, so one of the trick is, which I don't do, I know some people do, and yeah, that is, of course, if you're what is that? If your humidor is pretty full, then yes, you probably want to go through and shuffle your cigar. But mine's not very full. It's probably about 2 stacks. So yeah, 2 to 3 stacks is good. For most humidors, it's about 3 stacks high is what you're going to get out of your cigar, and that's what I recommend, is only go 3 stacks high. Just so your cigar get proper humidification. So anyway, back to the subject. So yes, at this point, I think most non-blacks, Asians, Hispanics, whites would agree. Reparations is not going to happen. Well, actually, it depends on the type of reparation. Printing $30 trillion is not going to happen. The U.S. printing $30 trillion. You might as well just use that money to wipe your ass. That's not going to happen. Inflation is going to be so high. Inflation is going to be so terrible. The money that they give to blacks is going to be worthless. You might as well just use it to wipe your ass. Now, reparations, such as giving blacks their own territory or their own island, that would be doable. Of course, it would take time. So let's say that they give them the East Coast, Georgia, the Carolinas. So let's say it's like, all right, we'll give you guys Georgia and the Carolinas. That's 3 states. White folks or non-blacks in those states, you got 5 years to move out. The U.S. government will give you moving assistance and relocation assistance, job search assistance. You got 5 years to get out. Or you can go with the last plan, which is what most blacks seems to want, or at least the pro-blacks. The ones who are the one who are yelling the loudest, the ones who are on TV and on radio, is repatriation, which is back to Africa. So at this point, yes, and most of Africa do speak English, by the way. Well, it depends on the colony, but most of them speak either English or they speak French. And then, of course, along with that, they speak their whatever tribal language that they speak, but they speak either English or French, depending on which part of Africa you go to. So the last part would be repatriation, which is, hey, any black folks who wants to go back to Africa, we'll make a deal with Liberia. Ghana has actually come out and said that they would repatriate blacks who wants to repatriate back to Africa. And to my knowledge, no blacks have actually taken up Ghana's offer. Yes, the U.S. actually colonized Liberia way back in the 1800s, before the Civil War, actually. So the U.S. actually colonized Liberia, and they set it up to put in a government much like the U.S., to put in a constitution much like the U.S. And it was with the idea of eventually repatriating blacks back to Africa. So you got Liberia. I'm pretty sure Liberia would agree. Ghana has already agreed. The question is, how many other African countries, would agree? And I'm pretty sure, when Obama was in office, he probably could have gotten this done, the repatriation. He probably could have. So he probably could have gotten repatriation done. He probably could have gotten Kenya to agree. So yeah, so when Obama was in office, yeah, he probably could have gotten Kenya to agree. So you got Kenya, Liberia, you got Ghana, and I'm pretty sure Nigeria would probably agree. But with Trump in office, yeah, those I don't know. With Trump in office, they may not agree, or they may agree if Trump goes, hey, look, we'll give you, $10 billion a year, you know, you know, it would be something like that. Of course, you always have to forego some kind of money, kind of like, we'll give you guys, $10 billion a year for the next 20 years to, for the repatriation, and that would actually be a pretty good idea. So hey, we'll give you $10 billion a year. So 10 billion goes to Liberia, 10 billion goes to Ghana for the next 20 years to help with the repatriation, and put out the word. Hey, any Black Americans you want to repatriate back to Africa, these countries are willing to take you. Please go. We'll give them the country $10 billion. They're supposed to give that money to you to help you resettle, which, yeah, good luck with that, right? So, yeah, because right now, the way things are, it's not going to work. You got the Democrats, the white liberals, you got the leftists, you got the communists, you got the Jews like Soros and such, who are poking the black folks like, hey, do this. They're poking them and they're pushing them, to get out there and just act a fool, which blacks are doing. They're being used as the use for idiots, and of course it's infuriating. It's infuriating, whites who aren't on the communist or on the leftist side. It's like, look, man, this is getting out of hand. The way things are going, it ain't going to work. So if you guys want your own territory or your own country, man, we'll give you, these states. Heck, we'll give you Puerto Rico. Heck, give them Puerto Rico, and same deal. Give the people of Puerto Rico 5 years. Hey, if you want to come live in the United States, you got 5 years to move over to the U.S. We'll give you we'll give you a moving support for moving, relocation support. Something that happens, yeah, it'll probably take more than 5 years, but let's say you got 10 years to move. And same thing for blacks. Hey, if you want to move, if you want to move to Puerto Rico, we'll give you moving assistance. We'll give you anyways, so right now, the way my thinking is, the way things are going right now, it's not going to work. The kettle is boiling over, and something's going to happen. There's going to be a flashpoint, or something's going to happen. It could be July 4th coming up when those supposed patriots decide to go and retake the Chaz zone or the Cho zone, whatever they call it now, Chazistan, Antifa-stan. All right, well, that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to keep smoking, and stay safe, stay out of the riot zone, don't get yourself killed, and have a good one, and thanks for watching.